All right. Joined in studio with Dr. Vaughn Lawrence from Spirit of Health. They're located at 5901 Main Street in Grandview, Missouri. You can get hold of them at 816-492-5648 or just go to spiritofhealthkc.com for more information. Now, if we discuss products, you don't have to send me an email. If we discuss products online, then you can always go to the website, spiritofhealthkc.com, and you can order all those things. And I know we've gotten who was on the show and how can you get hold of them. It's listed right there. So on our show. So all you have to do is go to thisiskansascity.com. You'll find out the information. And then you can hear a show or two in some of our repeat shows. We only list like 15 of them because that's about the room we have. But, Dr. Vaughn, tell us, this season, we are in spring, coming on summer here in June.
Right.
And the news is all over with these announcements that it's tick season.
Mm-hmm.
What can ticks do that can really harm? I know it can harm your dog. What can they do to people?
Sure. Well, we know Lyme disease is a real problem. It's an epidemic problem. You might not realize how bad it is unless you or somebody you know has it, right? Because sometimes we just live in our own bubbles. We live in our own world. But you are hearing it all over the news. Everybody probably knows somebody these days, at least somebody in their family or a friend that has or has had Lyme disease.
Or not diagnosed, and they just don't know.
Well, that's a good point. So people, they live in chronic pain. They're diagnosed chronic fatigue. They're diagnosed fibromyalgia. You know, they might be diagnosed with other quote unquote disease conditions, but it's actually Lyme. And then it's never been discovered.
Yes, it's never been discovered. But before you get into that, so let's talk to me as you would, a small child. Mm-hmm. So what is Lyme disease so that we can educate our audience?
Sure. So Lyme disease is a bacterial organism called Borrelia burgdorferi. And there are multiple species of this organism. And it's a spirochete, which means it's shaped like a corkscrew. So think about getting a wine opener, right, and putting that corkscrew into a cork. That's what the bacteria is shaped like, and it has that corkscrew effect, and it actually drills in. When it gets systemic into the body, it can drill into your organs, your tissues, even your brain. And as it starts to populate in your body, there's literally millions and millions of these organisms, which is why it's so dangerous, which is why it shuts down the immune system, why people live in chronic pain, why people can't think and they get brain fog and memory issues, and they're fatigued, they can't get out of bed, they have feel no life force at all, because this bacteria basically can take over the immune system.
Really? It's that bad?
It's that serious.
And it can cross the blood-brain
absolutely
membrane?
Yeah, people who have had Lyme for any significant period of time are going to have Lyme in their brain.
But a virus can't. Okay.
Viruses can too. Yeah, all parasites, viral issues. If somebody has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, dementia, something like that, it's not age. They have mold or parasites or Lyme in their brain. These are infectious diseases.
Can these be taken care of?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you have to do it precautionary, or if you have it and you don't know you have it, and then they see somebody like your doctor's office, you can diagnose that.
Right.
And then can you cure it?
Well, that's a relative term, the word cure.
Can you discover the root cause and try to eliminate it?
I can tell you lots of stories of people that came into me and either had Lyme disease and now they don't, or they didn't know what they have. I showed them through lab testing that they had Lyme, and now they don't, and now they're well. So you can call that a cure or whatever. The thing you have to understand is we're all exposed to these organisms. So that's one thing I'd like to share about Lyme disease, because I think when you hear on the news, it's tick season and da-da-da-da-da, like what's their goal in sharing that? Is that we're supposed to be afraid? Is that we shouldn't go outside? I know people, like personal friends of mine, that like they don't want to go in the woods because they don't want to get Lyme disease. Now, my mindset is different. I have 3 children. They go into the woods all the time. They go to Grammy and Papa's house, and they have 11 acres, and they're going to come back with ticks. We do tick checks, and we just, we pull them off. By the way, a quick note on ticks. You want to remove the tick properly. That's actually really important. You should never pull it out with the tweezers. You should never burn it. That's absolutely the worst thing you can do.
I used to do that.
You never put essential
blew out a match.
Yeah.
And then hit.
If you try to do anything like that, that tick is going to immediately be shocked, and it's going to immediately secrete all the poison inside of you, which is what you're trying to avoid. There's actually tick remover kits. We have them on our website. You can buy them on Amazon for nothing, like $5. You buy this tick remover kit, and you put the little thing right where the tick is and just slide it across, and it pops the tick right out, and you'll know you
without losing the head.
The tick will always be alive. It'll be crawling around. You'll pull it right out. So that's the way you remove a tick. That's actually crucially important. And then after we remove the tick, we put a little black salve or a little clay on the spot with a bandage to pull out any toxins or poisons that might have gotten into the body in that area. But my belief is that I'm not gonna be scared. I'm not gonna avoid the woods. I'm not gonna tell my kids not to go out in the woods. I'm gonna work on our health. I'm going to work on our immune systems, because otherwise we live in fear. And COVID was an example of that, is that people lived in fear because they were scared of, quote unquote, catching some virus. But the reality is we're all exposed to these organisms all the time. You're not going to avoid it. We're exposed to literally millions, with an M, millions of bacteria and viruses every single day. So nobody's going to run and hide from infectious disease. So instead of living in fear, the most important thing to do is really work on your health, your lifestyle, your diet, hydration, use herbs, take vitamins and minerals, take care of yourself and your family. That's my philosophy. But if somebody does suspect they have Lyme disease, or if they want confirmation, come to our office, do the lab testing. I believe we have the most accurate Lyme testing out there. I actually did not test for Lyme disease for 8 years because I didn't trust if it was accurate or not. Western blot and some of those tests are very, very inaccurate.
The ones you can go to CVS and buy.
Yeah, if you just go to the drugstore, go to a mainstream doctor, they do not run the right labs for Lyme disease.
Right. You can buy the little kit for like $15 at CVS.
Yeah, and you can get a false positive, false negative, and then you don't really even know. So back to your original question, Lyme is Borrelia burgdorferi, but there's also what are called co-infections of Lyme, which is something I always educate my patients about, is that there are organisms that mimic Lyme disease that you don't actually have Lyme disease. So what you actually have is you have Toxoplasma gondii, which is a protozoan parasite, or you have Epstein-Barr virus, or you have cytomegalovirus, or you have Bartonella or Rickettsia, which is Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So you can have other symptoms or other infectious disease organisms in your body and not know if it's Lyme or not, and then you don't know what you're really treating. So in other words, we're lab testing, we're showing what infections people have, and we're teaching them how to clear those infections from their body using different treatments and therapies that we do, herbal therapies. I also do craniobiottic technique and TKM, and there's all kinds of different techniques you can use to work on clearing those infections and healing the immune system. But it is helpful to know what you have, because treating Lyme, which is Borrelia burgdorferi, versus treating Epstein-Barr virus is different, but the symptoms can actually be the same.
All right,
I know I threw a lot at you there.
Let's just say that okay, I'm not feeling great. What are the symptoms? Is there a specific kind of symptom for Lyme, or is it just, does it wide range of symptoms?
It's wide range, and it depends on how long somebody's had it. Right. So when somebody first gets it, they might, I'm sick, I got fever, I got cold flu symptoms.
Might just
my
think it's
joints
the flu.
ache, and it could be very, very similar to the flu.
Okay.
What happens when you actually do have Lyme and you don't catch it early, and now it's been a year, 2 years, 5 years, this is where, chronic fatigue sets in. can barely function. I can barely make it through the day. I need naps all the time. I'm living in joint pain. So some of the common areas where Lyme deposits in the body, because infectious disease organisms like fatty tissue and they like joints. So if you have pain in your knees is a very common Lyme spot. The back of the neck is a very common area for Lyme. So any joints, but those areas in particular. And another sign is when the pain moves. It's like, oh, one day, like my knees are hurting. And the next day it's like, oh, my knees are okay, but my neck really hurts, or I'm feeling it in my fingers. And so anytime pain, quote unquote, moves, that's another telltale sign of infectious disease, but specifically Lyme.
Moving from
joint to joint. Moving through different joints.
So it likes the joints.
It likes the joints.
Tissue.
Correct.
I see. So if they go to spiritofhealthkc.com, they can go in and have a comprehensive Lyme test.
Correct. It's blood work.
And
you have to check Lyme through blood.
And when they get that, and how is it spread? So it's a bacteria that's in the tick or in a mosquito?
Yep, ticks, mosquitoes. They now even found it in rats, cats, dogs. I believe it can come through any kind of unclean animal, so to speak, but also human transmission. So I've seen whole families with it, husbands and wives. I have a friend actually whose husband, wife, and 8 children all have Lyme disease. And it's not because they all happen to get bitten by a tick. It can actually be spread through human transmission as well. So these days, like a lot of times people come in and they're sick and they're like, oh, I don't want to test for Lyme. I've never been bitten by a tick. I never saw the bullseye rash. And I'm like, you should still check, because 1, you could still have Lyme because it's spread different ways. And 2, you might not have Lyme, but you might have one of these other co-infections, again, that mimic Lyme symptoms. You might have a virus or a parasite or something that actually has the same symptoms of Lyme disease. So that's why you gotta test. You gotta check out. That I say, test, don't guess, is kind of one of our sayings, because you want to know what you're dealing with. Because how can you treat your condition if you don't know what you're dealing with? And hey, let me just mention this too real quick. Let's say you go to the doctor. And the doctor's like, I think you have Lyme disease. You have all the symptoms. And they treat them with an antibiotic. But they actually didn't have Lyme disease. They have Epstein-Barr virus. What did that antibiotic just do?
Epstein-Barr virus is an antibiotic for a virus, which does absolutely no good.
Exactly.
So
the antibiotic does not treat a virus.
It does not treat a virus. So what's going to happen is the antibiotic will lower your immune system.
Exactly. While not treating the virus.
Totally.
Which actually allows the virus to get stronger in your body.
That's such a misnomer with our society. Even close relatives of mine have said, well, I think I have a virus. I've got to go to the doctor and get antibiotics. And I go,
right.
That's not going to help.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
That doesn't do anything.
Right.
So, okay, so I understand that. Now, let's say somebody does test positive. What are the next steps? What do they do?
Sure. No, it's a great question. I mean, one way I heard it phrased that I really liked is Lyme disease is not as much of an infectious disease issue as it's an immune system problem. So the way I treat Lyme is multifaceted. But one way is you want to clear Lyme. You do need to clear Lyme from the body because it's basically overtaken the body. So there are herbal therapies that are great. There's Rife machine and other therapies. There's something I do now called CBT, craniobiotic therapy, which is magnet therapy, which actually will help with Lyme disease. There's actually a place, I learned about this because there's a place in Wisconsin called Lyme Stop that was curing people of Lyme disease. They'd go up for a treatment, come back, and they'd get better. And I'm like, I need to learn how to do this. So I actually flew to Washington to learn how to do this technique. That was just a couple weeks ago. So there are all kinds of different things you can do to treat Lyme, but then actually the key is actually getting the immune system higher and stronger than the Lyme. Because if you do a test and you check antibodies, I have not ever seen a person's antibodies for Lyme 0. So what that means is, it goes back to, again, we are all exposed to these organisms. The proof of that is right in the labs, because nobody shows zero on their antibodies. They always measure something. But the question is your immune system in charge of dealing with that infection or not? If the immune system's in charge, we might all have bacteria, virus, Lyme, mold. We might have all kinds of things in our body, but be perfectly healthy and well, right? But if our immune system's down and those infections are taking over the body and our immune system's out of control, that's why we get sick, we get chronic illness, we go to the doctor, we get a diagnosed disease. It really comes down to the state of the immune system.
That makes sense. And what would somebody want to do to bolster their immune system?
Well, I would say, boy, there's so many things. That's a pretty deep topic.
No, I totally understand that. But give me a couple off the cuff.
Yeah, I would actually say the most important thing is actually treating the Lyme, because the reason their immune system is so suppressed and so down is it's completely overwhelmed by this infection. So that's why I was like, man, you got to find out what you have going on, what's the infection, treat the infection, at least start to make some headway in that department. But then I'm very big on gut health. So, right, gut health is crucially important. The bacteria in your gut are crucially important. So getting that in alignment. And then, of course, people are chronically deficient in key nutrients. I'll run blood work, and 4 out of 5 times people are going to be low in vitamin D. So if you're low in vitamin D, if you're low in your electrolyte minerals, if you're low in copper and zinc, if you're low in iron, you can't produce enough oxygen. So actually these nutrients are really important too, because your immune system can't function properly without the proper nutrients. Of course, there's certain vitamins we know that are crucial. There was a lot of talk with this whole measles, hysteria that was going on. There was a lot of talk about vitamin A, because there's a lot of research showing if you have high levels of vitamin A, that's an easy fix for overcoming measles or any of these infections. So vitamins and minerals, finding out those deficiencies, getting that increased is crucial, because the immune system cannot function without those nutrients. And then, of course, just the obvious things. We should be hydrated. We should be in the sun, not scared of the sun. We should be in the sun. It's one of the most powerful things for our immune system. We should be eating whole foods, a whole food diet, fruits, vegetables, protein, healthy fats. We should not be eating processed foods and seed oils and sugars, and all that's going to damage and weaken our immune system. So there would be a few things.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Just kind of we've got about 2 minutes left in this segment, but just kind of off the cuff there, a thing that happened to me. I went and got tested I do this regularly because of the previous cancer. Mm-hmm. They said I was deficient in B12. Mm-hmm. And does that affect the immune system? Because they said it did.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's crucial for the functioning of our nervous system. Our liver cannot properly detoxify without enough B12. And B vitamins in general, I couldn't even tell you the number because we don't know, but they're crucial for various functions in the body. There's a lot of enzymes we cannot produce without proper B vitamins. So B vitamins are a crucial thing. And yeah, like you said, people are chronically deficient in these things.
I was taking this B12 complex, and I looked at it, and it said 100 micrograms of B12, and it was MCG,
micrograms.
Micrograms. And I typed back to the doctor, and I said, well, I'm taking this. And he said, no, boost that to 1,000. And I was like, that I would have to take 10 of these.
I mean, people do injections.
If I go to Spirit of Health, can I find something with 1,000?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can take B12. I almost never recommend just B12 by itself.
Complex.
Complex. Yeah, you want to take it. Yep.
B3.
Yeah, because you're not just deficient in B12. And when you go get blood work, here's the irony of it. They know you're deficient in B12 because they check B12 in your blood. Did they check B1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Right?
It.
No, they don't. They don't check it. So they're giving you an isolated vitamin when you probably need them all. Right.
Right.
So.
So I have to find a good one.
Right.
Like a good, and Spirit of Health has those.
Absolutely. We got multiple. I like Mother Earth Labs. Everything Mother Earth Labs is amazing. They have a great B complex.
Because you've done all the research. You've checked out all these labs.
Absolutely. I've vetted every product we have. I've discontinued things. I bring in new things. We're only going to carry the best. And our motto is as close to the way God created it as possible with every supplement we sell.
And on that, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back on This is Kansas City. Welcome back to This is Kansas City. We are joined in studio with our friend of the shows, Dr. Vaughn Lawrence from Spirit of Health. They're located at 5901 Main Street, Grandview, Missouri. Easy highway access right off of 49. And you can also get there just going down Grandview Main Street. So it's very easy access right off the highway exit. You can call them at 816-492-5648 or spiritofhealthkc.com for more information. And they do ship out what they were talking about on all these supplements and different kinds of things. They do it all online, I think, across the United States, right?
Absolutely.
So you can ship just about anywhere you would, and what you do, being a doctor and having other doctors on your staff,
right,
and all of that, what you've done is you've taken this, the homeopathic, naturopathic process to a full-size store with a 10,000 square foot warehouse, doctor's offices, all kinds of exercise courses, testing materials, and then a giant retail store,
right,
where they can come in and get these different kinds of supplements.
Amen.
Now, I recently went through a study that showed that the increasing the flavonoid intake through a diet-rich, flavonoid-rich foods can reduce the risk of dementia or unhealthy aging, particularly in women. But these studies have gone on for a large time. I mean, in the Dimension study, it involved nearly 122,000 people over a 10-year period. And they found that if they would increase the flavonoid-rich diet, that they had almost a 28% lower chance of getting dementia. And slower aging, 11% to 15%. I mean, some of these things. Now, I started to think, what is a flavonoid? Well, it's a mineral found in foods, right?
I would call it a phytonutrient.
A phytonutrient.
It's a nutrient found within a fruit or a vegetable, right?
Okay, yes, and very strong, very high levels in berries and apples and grapes and cherries and citrus, but it's also available in onions and kale and celery and carrots and broccoli and soybeans, teas, red wine, dark chocolate, also coffee also has flavonoids.
Now you're making people happy.
I know. I know. Like, too bad beer wasn't listed on. But you can't really get everything that you would need from an increase in these through food. You can, but the amount you would have to eat is enormous.
Right. Yeah, I'd say the way to think about it is, I think we all know there's health benefits to eating fruits and vegetables. And flavonoids is obviously one of them, but you can name 100 other nutrients that are crucial and only found in real food, right? Not processed food, not man-made food, not synthetic food. So we need to eat our fruits and vegetables, but I think when you have a deficiency, now we don't know if we're quote unquote deficient in flavonoids, right? That was the study, but we can find out if we're deficient in magnesium or zinc or vitamin A or vitamin C or even certain amino acids, B vitamins, fatty acids. Like, we can check to see if we're deficient in all those things, and we can supplement that. And I have people ask me all the time, well, why can't I just eat something that has B vitamin in it? Or can I just eat something that has B12 in it? You can. But you're not going to overcome a deficiency, a chronic deficiency that you've probably had for years and years because you now start eating a certain food. It just doesn't work that way. So I am a fan of supplementing, and I've seen it change people's lives. And just one little example would be, magnesium. People are chronically deficient in magnesium, and you can't just start eating a magnesium high food like chocolate's high in magnesium. Well, you're not going to eat tons of chocolate and fix a magnesium problem.
No.
You have to supplement magnesium. And to take it a step further, I have people that will take magnesium supplement every day. I'll recheck their blood in 3 months and their magnesium hasn't improved. And I tell them that, like, you have a chronic deficiency. And I will have people do magnesium oil foot baths. I will have them rub magnesium oil on their feet. I'll have them take a magnesium supplement. I'll give them electrolytes or ocean minerals. I have this one called BioOcean that I love because it's really high in magnesium chloride, which is the perfect form of magnesium. And if they start getting magnesium through multiple ways, then their blood work increases and they start to notice, oh, I'm sleeping better. Oh, I don't feel as stressed out.
I'm losing weight.
My cramp's going away. Oh, I'm losing weight.
My
all
tummy's
those
going away.
Yes. And so you have to really, really ramp it up if you're going to overcome a deficiency. Now, you had told me something on the break about what your doctor said about magnesium. I thought that was funny. I didn't know if you wanted to share that.
So I went, and so after talking to Dr. Lawrence in studio, probably, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, last time you were in, you were talking about the levels of magnesium, and I take magnesium. I take 250 milligrams of magnesium a day, and I take it with zinc so that I think they complement each other. So I'm taking those two things, but he said to me, never take over 350 milligrams. Or you could have severe diarrhea. You could have all these other kinds of health problems. So don't do that.
So to me, that's sad, and it shows kind of the state of where our medical system is. And any medical doctor will tell you that they did not study nutrition. So how we can be doctors in this country and know almost nothing about nutrients, vitamins, minerals, flavonoids that you were talking about just says a lot. And it's really sad because there are so many different forms of magnesium. The magnesium, likely, now I don't know for sure, but likely that was something told to him in school, right? As part of his education.
Oh, you can Google it. That's what it says.
And he believed it.
Yeah.
And now he's telling other people that this nonsense, right?
Well, all AI does is search. That's why it's called artificial intelligence. It just searches other people's websites. So it'll search Mayo Clinic. It'll search all these other, and it's only pulling the information from what human beings have put together.
Right.
Is it reliable? I don't know. It's just searching from different websites.
Right.
How could that be 100%? It's not.
No.
I mean, it's not making up its own.
And we're not even discussing what type of magnesium we're using.
And are there different types?
Well, absolutely. So he could be referring to, again, I don't know, the only form of magnesium that can cause loose stools or diarrhea is called magnesium citrate, citrate. And there are products out there that sell magnesium citrate. And the reason I would give somebody that form of magnesium is if they're constipated and they need to move their bowels. That's not the magnesium you give to somebody when you want to restore a magnesium deficiency. You give them that magnesium to help them go poop. So that could be what he's talking about. But that, again, it just shows the lack of education we have on the types of magnesium and how chronically deficient we are.
And nobody knows about the types. There's a magnesium out there that
glycinate.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between, people were asking me, and I don't have the answers. I don't know. Glycinate, I would imagine that it's easier absorption.
That one's actually plant-based. And for example, my favorite magnesium is called magnesium ER. It's 7 different forms of absorbable magnesium. So I love that one as a capsule, but the best form of magnesium, in my opinion, is magnesium chloride, which is the one found naturally in ocean water. If you evaporate salt out of ocean water. It's extremely high in magnesium chloride. And if you analyze ocean water and compare it to human blood, the mineral composition is almost exactly the same. That is not by accident. That is by God's design.
Because we came from the sea.
Well, we came from the earth, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're made of water, right?
We're
70% water.
70% water.
Exactly.
Which is also the amount of water that covers the earth. Kind of ironic.
Exactly. Again, not by accident. God is very wise.
Now, when we were discussing the flavonoids, and it confuses a lot of people, they're found in a lot of different things. But this one that I looked at, the
Quercetin.
Quercetin belongs to the flavonoid family, and it's called the queen of flavonoids. It is supposed to be a strong antioxidant with anti-inflammatory properties. It offers so many different health benefits. That would have to be a supplement, right?
Yeah, we sell quercetin. You can buy it by itself. I'll tell you where quercetin is found. It's found, from my understanding, it's found highest in onions.
I see.
Yeah, so a lot of people know the benefits of like onions, garlic, and
but a lot of people can't eat onions.
It's true.
You could take the supplement.
You can take the supplement. Yeah, you should not have any issues with the supplement, even if you have problems with onions. Quercetin is also found in all kinds of antihistamine formula. So I don't know if it said that in the document you have, but it's a very, very powerful antihistamine. So it's great for allergies.
It says it also helps in allergy relief,
there you go,
heart health, and even potentially aids in weight management.
So it's going to reduce histamine responses. If you have food allergies, if you have seasonal allergies, quercetin's very popular for that. Quercetin was also hugely popular for COVID because it's so great for increasing and improving immune function. So I have a formula called Advanced Immune Support. Again, Mother Earth Labs, I love all their stuff, but they have a product called Advanced Immune Support because people were coming into the store, right? Let's talk about the last 5 years for COVID.
We're going to do that as soon as we get back from this break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back on This is Kansas City. Welcome back to This is Kansas City. We are joined in studio with Dr. Vaughn Lawrence from Spirit of Health. They're located at 5901 Main Street, Grandview, Missouri. You can find them at spiritofhealthkc.com or call them at 816-492-5648. I think that's going to ring into the retail shop, but they can direct you anywhere if you're looking for testing or free consultation. Doctor, you give a free 15-minute discovery call to anybody who calls, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, if somebody's sick or looking for solutions, we want to tell you our process, what we do, and we want to just be honest about, if we can help you or not.
And the whole goal is you are celebrating 10 years.
In Grandview, yep.
In Grandview, 10 years in Grandview, and you have something going on in October.
Oh, sure.
When you celebrate 10 years in Grandview, 5 years before in OP.
Overland Park, yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of a save the date, October 10th and 11th. The 10th, Friday, is going to be an education day. We're going to have 6 different speakers, different doctors talking about different topics. I'm going to be talking about Lyme disease. I have a doctor talking about children's autoimmune conditions like PANS and PANDAS. He's an expert in that. I have a doctor who's going to be talking about cancer, like innovative new cancer treatments that are out there. One who's going to be talking about nervous system and energy work. Anyway, just lots of different speakers on Friday the 10th. And then the 11th is our huge health fair. That's like celebration, bounce houses, face painting, balloon animals, vendors. We're going to do a huge sale. It's just going to be like
is it out there? Right there
music.
By your shop?
Yeah, it'll be on our property at our store. And we did a lot of those in the past before COVID, and they're a blast. The whole community comes out. We usually have 400 or 500 people come out.
And a lot of that hesitation and everything did start with COVID, and I think it was handled the wrong way, absolutely the wrong way, and
totally.
It was kind of sad. Mm-hmm. And it was directed by Fauci, who I do not agree with, and I just think it was handled in a very poor manner.
Amen.
But on top of that, so we were talking about some of the benefits of the flavonoids and the study that came out. And the other one that really caught my attention was turmeric. Turmeric is very, very important to us, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's
what does it do for the body?
Well, it does a lot of things. I mean, of course, it's mainly known as an anti-inflammatory. So people take it for pain relief. And you can't take too much. I mean, I know guys who are in pain, and so they just take a teaspoon of powder a day. And that's a lot, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. And the example I give people is, you know, I always encourage people to like buy in bulk because powders are way more affordable. And think of it this way, a teaspoon of powder. Like, does a teaspoon seem like a lot if you were just going to stick a teaspoon in a smoothie and drink it? Like, that's not a lot, right?
No.
A teaspoon is like taking 7 capsules. It seems like a lot to take 7 capsules.
It does.
Right? So to take a teaspoon of something's nothing. So buy herbs in bulk, and that's like very cheap medicine.
So, but the one that I got from your shop was a turmeric, and it was mixed with
hemp,
a hemp
oregano,
blend.
ginger,
mm-hmm. And it was a pill form.
Yes.
But if I get a headache, I take one of those, and it's gone, and I don't have to take Advil or acetaminophen or other. Advil affects your stomach. Acetaminophen affects your liver.
Right.
That turmeric doesn't affect any of that.
No, and what's great about that product, you know, I'd kind of mentioned the powders, which are great, but the benefit of that capsule is that's a CO2 extract. It's super concentrated. It's in a liquid form, which makes it immediately available. It's going to get to your brain, right? If you have a headache, it's going to get past that blood-brain barrier and start to decrease inflammation in the brain within seconds. So that is the benefit of taking something like that. And the synergistic effect, they found that the hemp and the turmeric actually makes the turmeric work better. So it's the synergy of a blend, it's the liquid form, it's the concentrate. So, you know, both are good. I just mentioned the herbal powders because, you know, you can do medicine affordably. People think, oh, you know, I just can't afford all that. It's all so expensive.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. There's just a convenience behind the, you know, take a pill.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, I get it. I get it on the other. And the powders are awesome. And so are your teas. Because teas are one of those also that are in this flavonoid where it can really boost the immune system and really help a lot. And you have some wonderful teas in there and you have the little tea balls, you know, that you just put in the hot water. But they work so well.
Yeah, especially green tea. I mentioned you mentioned the flavonoids. I mean, we've all heard about green tea and how healthy it is for it and beneficial. And that's one of the reasons that particular is really high, and we sell only organic gunpowder green tea, which is actually the best kind you can get.
Chamomile something.
Chamomile?
Chamomile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Supposed to be super rich in that.
Okay. Yeah, chamomile is great too. I was saying before the break, I was mentioning the quercetin, just going back to that real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Is people will walk into the store, and this is especially happening with COVID.
I had never heard of it.
And they were saying, well, I did my research, and I need quercetin, and I need vitamin D, and I need NAC, I need N-acetylcysteine, and I need vitamin E, and they had this list of like the 10 things they were going to buy.
Or something?
Yeah, they were just searching on it, and I was like, and I would get the bottle of Advanced Immune Support by Mother Earth Labs, and I'd turn around, I'm like, yeah, they're all in one formula. So I try to do that for people because they'll come in sometimes and bring their grocery bag full of supplements they're taking, right? And I'm like, well, we can actually replace 7 of these with this one product. Why don't we start there, right?
Yes.
So people are just spending a lot of money on these individual things, and you don't, for the most part, you probably don't need all those things. And things work better synergistically when they're blended together in a formula created by a really smart formulator. So that's why herbs, I like blends. We've created 60 of our own formulas, like the Canna Cureman, right? That product was blended and developed by somebody who's really smart. And so that's why it works so well versus you trying to figure it out on your own.
You need any more information, go to spiritofhealthkc.com. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Vaughn Lawrence from Spirit of Health. We will be back Monday for a brand new show. And count on Dr. Lawrence being here in the next couple of weeks to answer more questions. We will see you back. Enjoy your weekend.